Não sei se alguém deseja colocar uma pergunta agora. Peter,
you can ask in Portuguese and they'll translate.
Do you answer questions during the coffee break?
I'd be happy to.
We have a question
Hi,
over
Peter.
there.
Thank you. That was very, very interesting.
I bet you this is the guy from Travelport. I can just see it. I can see it.
I'm more an airline person, and one of the things I was going to ask you, you're probably going to have checked in for your flight tomorrow to London. Why is the hotel industry so bad? I was recently at Hyatt Place. They let me check in on the internet. Why won't hotels let us check in on the internet?
Because it's something that we've never done before, and we in the hotel industry, I include myself in the hotel industry, we are so conservative. And if it's never been done before, it either can't be done or doesn't need to be done. And we're really, really struggling to figure out that there is a new generation out there. Why are the OTAs dominating online sales? Because 10 years ago, when I stood in front of people like you, you went, oh, that's very interesting, and did nothing. 10 years ago, I talked about the danger of the OTAs. Now, I'm really warning you about the danger of your online reputation. You have to monitor what is being said and what is being posted about you on all of the social media channels, because it's become incredibly important. It feeds into search. And don't nod your head and say yes. Start doing it. Because 5 years from now, how you're being sold, what rate you can sell at, how you're even going to be found, is all going to be dominated by the social networks. So it's also down to the fact that we have so many different things to do because we work in an operational business. One of the companies I work with has got 80 hotels. And 2 years ago, we had 3 to 4 people, 3.5 people working in distribution. We now have 84 people working in distribution. In every single hotel, we've put in a web coordinator. And that person has got nothing to do with pricing or nothing to do with GDS. All that person does is manages content on the OTAs, the online travel agents, on their own website and on the social media. And what's the cost of hiring somebody like this? Yeah, $25,000 a year. For the hotel company I'm dealing with, that's not a lot of money because it's an upmarket hotel company, and within a month they've made back that money. It's literally that effective once you start paying attention to it. You.
Oh, I don't think I need this. Anyway, I have a question for you concerning...
I just pointed at your mouth.
Yeah, but it doesn't seem to work.
No, it's working.
Oh, is it?
You need to point it at your mouth.
Well, my question is related to one statement you made about new set of skills. Okay. I myself, I'm in charge of a course trying to prepare hotel managers, hospitality managers in general. And my question is that, would you say that the most important skills they need to learn, students, should be IT skills and, web related skills, or you think that perhaps other competencies are also important to manage a hotel?
I think they're different things. They need IT skills, but increasingly students are coming with better IT practical skills than ever before. So they know how to use Excel, they know how to use Word. Yeah. But we still insist on teaching them that, but let's not get into that. They need to understand how to manage IT, but then totally separate, they need to understand pricing. So you can call it yield management, revenue management, pricing. They're all slightly different, but they need to understand how to price. And then they need to understand how to sell. If I take the example of the company that I talked about, where we hired the 80 people, we actually hired ex-journalism students. Why? Because they can write. And they can write sales-orientated language. Because that was the most important thing. What they're doing is they're managing content. And they also have an appreciation of graphic design. I am terrible on graphic design, but even choosing photos, choosing the right photo, cropping it correctly so it gives the right message. I threw it here. Just 1 second. I'll just give you an example. I took this morning because I thought it was very interesting. This is a comment card from HF Hotels. And the image on that is just so good. Okay, it's not like white HF hotels, please tell us your opinion. Just the image caught my eye, then I picked it up, and then I looked at it and said, oh, that's a comment card, it's interesting. But that graphic skill, the ability to write, the ability to recognize what the customer is actually going to read is incredibly important as well. That's got nothing to do with IT. I maintain it's part of merchandising, it's part of selling.
And how do you rate public relations connected to these?
PR is connected to this as well, but PR is a very different skill set.
Not so important though.
Online PR, incredibly important.
Online?
Online PR is incredibly important. You look at companies like Starwood. Starwood have some people who just do online PR. And why? Because they know that their reputation online depends on it. They respond, they interact with people. That's all to do with blogging as well.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. If anybody has another question, I will be around during the coffee break. Oh, we have one more. Okay, last question. After this, I start charging.
Okay. When you look to all these new distribution channels, you will see that it's very difficult to manage all these channels. For example,
no, it's not.
If you have so many channels and you need to manage the rates, the sales conditions, and all of that, my question is, what is your advice to by an integrated form to manage all these channels?
You know what? I'm going to give you my advice.
A travel click platform, or
I'm going to give you my advice. Don't have all these channels. I'm being very honest with you. Very few hotel companies have a distribution strategy. What hotels do is they say, okay, there's 80 different channels out there, let's try to be on all 80. Why? Because they use what's called a shop shelf approach, and they think that if they're listed, there's a chance they might get booked. But what happens? Things like Renshaw's, the photos aren't up there, the descriptions aren't up there, because you can't manage 80 channels. Even with an automated tool, you can't manage 80 channels. Let's take an example of a very successful company, EasyJet. How can you book an EasyJet flight? On the web, and you can actually phone them. You can call them. And if you call them, you'll get an automated voice saying, welcome to EasyJet. Your anticipated wait time is 8 minutes. If you would like to book online, then please go to www.easyjet.com. They're lying to you. Nobody would ever wait 8 minutes. But what they would want you to do is they want you to hang up and go on the web, or get this, they want you to hang up and not book, rather than process that booking on the phone. How can you book a hotel room? You can book it with the hotel directly, you can book it with a travel agent, you can book it with a tour operator, you can book it with Expedia, you can book it with and guess what? You'll get offered 80 different prices. Why? Because we haven't thought about where we want to be sold. You need to be very selective about the OTAs that you work with.
Okay, but if you use a platform like TravelClick, TravelClick,
it's
not a solution?
TravelClick will, he's talking about what's called a channel manager. Their product happens to be called Channel Manager as well, but there are other products out there in the industry. Yes, it'll work to a certain degree, but it doesn't address the core problem, which is you haven't decided where you want to be sold. There's no point in being listed in a channel that's going to offer you 5 bookings a year. It's too much work for the actual effort, even if the effort is just a small financial effort. Who are your target audiences? Where do they book? What interests them? And then target those ones. And there's 3 companies, which is Bookings, Priceline Bookings, Expedia, and Travelocity, which are the big boys. You probably need to work with them, provided you can get commercial terms which are agreeable. At the moment, you know, there's a big controversy going on with Choice and Expedia. After that, you need to target. One of my clients, a client in London, gets a hell of a lot of business from a very small website. It's called Mr. and Mrs. Smith. Mr. and Mrs. Smith is a kind of boutique-y, can you say dirty weekend in Portuguese? Does that translate? I mean, that's basically the market they're going for. It's kind of like, okay, you call it romantic getaways, but it's really the kind of dirty weekend idea. And they get an incredible amount of business from that website. Incredible! Why? because they're that type of hotel. It's one of their target clients, their target customers. So you have to target. You can't do the shotgun. You have to do the sniper. It's been a pleasure. Thank you very much. If anybody wants a copy of the presentation, just email me.